From our 22 News Broadcast Center, this is 22 News in Focus.
Good Sunday afternoon and welcome to 22 News in Focus. I'm Laura Hutchinson. Massachusetts residents pay millions of dollars in taxes each year, but not many of us know how that money is being used. And that's where 22 News in Focus comes in today. Today we'll have the chance to talk to our new state treasurer to find out where our money is going and how the state is doing financially. Lawmakers are also debating an early retirement bill. We'll find out what the treasurer thinks of that. But first, joining us today, we have Deb Goldberg, the Treasurer and Receiver General of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you so much for having me.
It is such an honor to be able to sit and talk to you. I know you were so busy on the campaign trail months ago. Now you're in office. How are things going? Tell me about how you're more than 100 days in now. How is it going?
I know, and people said to me this week, you're 100 days in. I said, well, it either feels like a lot quicker than that or maybe a lot longer, not depending on whether I start to look at the list of things that I've actually been involved in since I actually was sworn in on January 21st. The first 100 days have been fantastic. I ran for treasurer because I was really excited about the job. A lot of people don't know what the treasurer does. They know it has something to do with money, like you said in your introduction, but actually it's got almost maybe 9 or more departments with under just the Massachusetts State Treasurer's Office. And in fact, when I talk to other state treasurers, they are almost shocked and overwhelmed at the number of things that we do in the Treasurer's Office in Massachusetts. It's actually different in most of the rest of the country. Obviously, the normal things like cash management, you wondered when all those millions of dollars come in, we make sure that we're managing the cash well, that we're earning money on the cash so it creates more revenue for the state. We are the ones responsible for issuing debt. What that means is we're making sure that the monies are available to rebuild the infrastructure. But we also do the Mass School Building Authority, and we issue the bonds that create the funds to pay for the schools, but we also manage the process of working with local communities. But then I also get to do some really exciting things around economic empowerment and financial literacy and wage equality. And these are things that are done under the Treasurer's Office. So it's been an exciting 100 plus days, and it has been a busy 100 plus days. After all, I spent the first 30 of them in a snowbank. Yeah. So it was a little challenging at the beginning. And so we're running fast to catch up because there's so much that we need to get done to make sure that we create economic stability and economic opportunity through the whole state.
So what is at the top of your agenda? Maybe it's something you've done already, or maybe it's something that you can't wait to do, but I guess what is the most important thing that you are looking forward to getting your hands involved in?
Well, it's funny, there isn't just one thing. And you know, I came from a background not just in finance but really business, and so consequently I came from a business that was a large business throughout the whole state that had lots of different subsidiaries. So as a person who looks sort of broadly, I look at each one of the areas of the Treasurer's Office and I have a very strong agenda for each and every one of them. So whether it is making sure that we have the financial stability we need. So for example, we made sure we brought up all the rating agencies a couple of weeks ago with us, the Treasurer's Office, the Secretary of A&F and their staff, the governor, the Ways and Means chairs, the Senate President, the Speaker, so that we could ensure that they got to speak with all of us, that they could see that even though we had a challenging winter, that we had a structural deficit that we were all working on, that we were fiscally responsible. And lo and behold, 2 weeks after they were here, they reasserted our bond ratings and maintained it and said we were steady and strong. That was very, very important to me. I know that sounds like something that no one really thinks about, but it's the cost of money for us, and it gives us the ability to do things for people. And that's the connection. It sounds esoteric, it sounds very businessy, but at the end of the day, if we're building a school, if we're paving over a road, if we're funding public education, this is how these monies come in. And so that's exciting. On day one, we announced our Office of Economic Empowerment, one of the first of its kind in the country, led by a deputy treasurer. The treasurer's office has 5 deputy treasurers, and putting this under a deputy treasurer highlights just how important programming is around establishing and leading on wage equality, on teaching people how to empower themselves, in developing the best possible financial literacy programs from kids through seniors, creating a college savings plan for kids who need it the most, those who are on the free lunch program, on the subsidized lunch program, teaching financial literacy through that, aspiration for higher education or technical training or vocational training. We've done all of these things in the first 100 days, and including that, the pension fund, working on issues around the lottery, making sure that those unrestricted general funds get back to every city and town. So there's a lot going on at the Treasurer's office, and I am extremely excited about the potential, what we've accomplished, what we will accomplish.
Are you finding, because April was Financial Literacy Month, and I know that you've been working to sort of get your message out, are you finding that enough young people are financially literate, that they understand why they're paying money out and how that money is being spent? What sort of message have you been trying to get out?
Well, people are definitely not as financially literate as they need to be. Not because they don't want to be, because whenever we introduce a program or we go to a Credit for Life fair with high school students, they want the information. We were at Worcester Vocational High School, the technical training school, which is a phenomenal program and a phenomenal school. The kids there said to us, why haven't we been taught this information? We need it. So I think that the kids realize that, and not just kids, but veterans realize. We have Operation Moneywise, where we train veterans on the very unique issues they have when they return from being overseas. People realize that the world is complicated and that so much is tied to understanding financial issues, but they don't know how to get those skills. And so I really feel, and I'm not the only one who sees it that way. I was at the National Association of State Treasurers meeting, and treasurers throughout the country, and this isn't a partisan issue, whether they're Republican or whether they're Democrat, feel that we are the right people to be focusing on these programs, determining which ones are the most effective, and then making sure it's available to folks. So I'm involved on that task force, and we've created our own task force statewide. And when I say statewide, I mean the whole state, whether it was in my transition team, whether it's on my wage equality task force, whether it's on my financial literacy task force. We have people from all over the state. And that means Springfield, that means Western Mass, it means the South Coast region, it's the state.
That is so great to hear. You know, money is so interesting, and like you were saying, so many people do crave that information. So we're going to talk more about how you can find out how the state spends our money, but also we have some really big issues like casinos coming into town. People are wondering how that's going to impact us. So we'll take a short break. Still ahead, we'll talk about how the casinos could impact our state's finances, as well as that early retirement proposal that lawmakers are discussing right now. So stay with us. There's still a lot more ahead. You're watching 22 News in Focus. Welcome back to 22 News in Focus. Today we're talking to State Treasurer Deb Goldberg. One of the state's sources of revenue, of course, here in Massachusetts is the state lottery. You know, people are wondering, as these casinos are coming into town, and this is huge in Western Mass. Of course, MGM is going to be here before you know it. They've already broken ground. Many people are wondering how this is going to impact our state's finances, the state's lottery system, our money in general. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I am responsible for the state lottery, and having been a local elected official, I better than anyone recognize the importance of the lottery, because those are the only unrestricted funds that come to every single city and town. All 351 get distributions from the lottery, and then they can actually do whatever they want to. So if in one community they need to get a crossing guard at a school, they can spend it on that. If in another community their sidewalks are breaking down, they can spend it on that. So as local elected officials, the lottery dollars are really critical. Obviously, casinos are going to be very important to Springfield. Well, a casino, the MGM Casino, and in fact has given a lot of local amenities to the community. And it's hopeful that it will really revitalize the downtown. You know, my dad lived in downtown Springfield in the Travel Lodge when I was a kid, because he was working out here. So he lived here during the week, and on school vacations, if we wanted to be with him, we were in downtown Springfield and in the entire region. So I have a passion about Springfield and feel that, yes, in many ways, when people are thinking about economic development, they focus on 128 East, and I understand the need for economic development here in Springfield. But on the other hand, as head of the lottery, and my responsibilities to make sure that those monies get back to every city and town, I'm going to compete, really compete, with the casinos. Now, the bill that established casino gambling does have lottery machines going into the casinos. That's good.
Right.
And so we want to be part of where those machines get placed. Because we don't want them in the closet and we don't want them in the back of the kitchen. We want them in a traffic area. And but I also have to be concerned for the local retailers. You know, in Town Center, for example, there's a convenience store on the first floor. An immigrant family owns that. They're a little nervous about the casino being so close by. So we're going to be working very carefully with our retailers. And I think this summer, when the slots open in Plainville, we'll be able to evaluate what is the impact on lottery dollars and who's benefiting, who may be getting hurt, and how can we market to make sure that this is a win-win throughout the state. A lot of revenue is anticipated to coming in to the general fund and being distributed throughout the state to different programs. But it's different than the way the lottery dollars go out. There's a really direct link between the spending on the lottery and money going directly to the communities. And so we want to make sure that the lottery remains competitive. We have some concerns about just how many entertainment dollars might be out there. And if the lottery revenues are almost $1 billion, if you just have a slight hit, that's real money to cities and towns. So we're going to continue to be innovative, savvy. We're going to be marketing and advertising and promotional. We came out with a new $30 ticket this week. And we expect it to be a really good hit. So remembering, at the end of the day, the lottery is about local communities. You know, it's not gambling per se. It's about making sure that those dollars get back to every city and town to do positive things in people's lives.
So it sounds like you're anticipating that it will take some kind of a hit because of casinos, but you're already planning ahead to try to at least curb that.
Well, I jokingly say, bring them on.
Right.
You know, I came from a business where we were in a very, very competitive supermarket business, less than 1% profit margins. We did the kind of marketing and advertising and promotion to be number one. And so that's what my focus is. Bring it on. I'll compete with the best of you, and we will prevail.
Excellent. There you go. There's a lot of drive there.
Exactly.
Let me ask you, too, about this early retirement proposal. Some people are wondering how this could impact, if this is a good thing. Of course, we're looking to offset the budget gap by, you know, encouraging people to go into early retirement. What are your thoughts? This hasn't officially passed, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, from the very beginning, we and the governor worked together. The Retirement Board is another department that's under the Treasurer's office. But we don't make any determinations on who gets to take early retirement or how many people or what departments. A lot of people started calling us and saying, well, we don't want our division to be included. And we would say to them, gee, we don't have any influence on that. We're sort of the processor of the retirements. And so we are, my issue, and this is what I basically said to the governor and I've said to the legislature, is should the bill go through, I want to make sure that we have some temporary help so that we can process those retirements fast enough to have the kind of positive impact that they're hoping to have on the budget. In terms of watching the debate, I am not sure how many people will actually retire. It's being isolated to the executive branch.
Right.
Obviously, from a theoretical concern, you don't get to choose who retires and who doesn't.
Sure.
And I look at government as customer service. And so you hope that people who are, because not always the people who are at the end of their careers are dead weight. Often they have all the history of how things work in a department. So I hope that it goes well. I hope that we don't have gaps in service to citizens throughout the Commonwealth. And I know on my end, whatever it is, we will do our job to make the process for those choosing to retire as smooth as possible, and also not negatively impact the other work that we do within the retirement
That's
board.
great. Well, it certainly is a lofty goal, and I know that some people are wondering how this will impact the state as a whole and if this will be a good thing. So it is kind of a wait-and-see game, but
Exactly.
that's great to hear from you on that. We are going to take a short break, and after this, we're going to discuss a popular program that helps people find lost money. So we'll continue our conversation with the state treasurer. After this, stay with us. You're watching 22 News in Focus. You're watching 22 News in Focus. Today we're having a great conversation with State Treasurer Deb Goldberg. She's been talking to us all about casinos and her first 100 days. Thank you so much again for being here. First off, I know that we talked about financial literacy and understanding the money. And one great thing that we have in our state is open checkbook. We're able to see how money is spent, but I know that you want to make changes to that program. So tell me about
Well, I want to enhance it.
Right.
I think that Treasurer Grossman, who was the treasurer before me, did a great job putting open checkbook online. And there's information that is available that has never been available before, and you could just go there. I used it during my campaign to find out certain things. But again, outreaching beyond our borders to even improve things, to increase transparency. The Treasurer of Ohio has taken open checkbook to the next level. And it's complicated from a systems point of view, but we are actually outreaching to him, finding out how they went about it, how they paid for it. Because don't forget, everything we do has if we want to change something or expand it, there's a cost associated with it.
Of course.
And so we're just about to take that next leap because I want to increase transparency. I want the public to be able to access information. If they're interacting with an agency and they say, gee, where does that agency's money come from? I want them to be able to see that if they want to know. So that's something I'm excited about.
So we'll take Ohio's plan and we'll just one-up them.
I
Make
hope
it
so.
way better
Exactly.
here. Okay.
Although theirs is pretty amazing.
Pretty good. I'm going to have to go on and check that out, actually. That sounds interesting. I want to see what they're doing. Another great program, the Unclaimed Property.
Yes.
This is so important for people in our state because you could have something out there that you don't know about.
Do you know that there's $50 million just in Hampden County that we're holding that we want to give back to people?
Right.
I mean, last week I was at a seniors event in Hudson, Mass, and we set up a booth for the seniors to assist them in looking for unclaimed property. We had a senior who we found $18,000 for.
That's life-changing.
That was life-changing. I have the chills just sharing that with you right now. This is one of the best parts of my job because so often people will have money somewhere and they lose track of it. They don't have accounting for it. I mean, I can give you a crazy example. You overpay a heating bill, and you never know that that happened. Well, you know what? They have to give that money back, and if they can't find you, it comes into the state, but it has your name on it. So that's how we're able to find people and get what they're owed back to them. I will tell you that when we first got this year's list, I did, because I've been able to return $30 million this year.
Wow.
Just since I've started.
Jeez.
But we do owe about $185 to Big Poppy. And I'm really trying to get him to come in to pick it up. That would be a really fun day at the State House, wouldn't it?
That would be so
I know.
fun. I can't believe
I'm not so sure we'll get him, but I'm going to try.
That is so funny. You know, and one thing people may not think about is relatives who have passed.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, actually, can I tell you, before I was ever treasurer, we found unclaimed property under my father-in-law who had passed away's name. We just happened to get the newspaper like so many people do, and I looked under my husband's last name, and lo and behold, he had passed away. My husband hadn't known about this small account, and we were able to get it, and my husband has a sister who's disabled, and she was able to be the beneficiary of that. So it's a really important program, and one in which we also hope to reach out to seniors and others to go beyond returning their property, but educating them on other financial literacy programs that we have.
Yeah, for people who, you know, are paycheck to paycheck, this could really make a difference.
It really
it's worth
can.
it to go on
Think
and
about
check.
the senior who found $18,000
That
last
is
week. So our website, for those who are out there and who want to go online and look, and I did put my name in, but I didn't find anything, it is findmassmoney.com.
Perfect.
Findmassmoney.com.
So easy.
Yes.
Go on. It is worth it. Like
It
you were
is.
saying, 50 million just in Hampden County. Is
Yes.
that- wow, that's a
Yes.
lot.
I
It's worth
know.
it. I do it every year. I always plug my name in.
Did you
just to
find
keep-
anything
No,
ever?
but that's okay. That's okay. Treasurer Deb Goldberg, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. You've had a very busy 100 days.
I have.
And I'm so excited to hear where this takes you. It sounds like you have a lot on your agenda and your game plan, so it's going to be really exciting to follow
Well,
your
thank you.
administration
And I
what
look
you're
forward
doing.
to coming back and visiting with you again.
Well, thank you. I'll hold you to that.
You can.
Very good. And we'll have the last word for you after the break. Stay with us. You're watching 22 News in Focus. You're watching 22 News in Focus. Today we've been talking about your tax dollars and all the state programs that go with our treasurer, Deb Goldberg. We hope that you learned something today about how your money is working for you and what you can do to get involved. We'll have links to all the programs we talked about on our website at wwlp.com. Thank you so much to our treasurer for joining us today. Thanks to you at home for watching. We hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Take care.